Top 10 world's most powerful wars. At number 10, we have the Russia-Ukrainian war. This war didn't just start in 2022. It began in 2014. Russia annexed Crimea after political unrest in Ukraine. Pro-Russia separatists started fighting in eastern Ukraine. In 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion. Cities were bombed, millions fled, and thousands lost their lives. The West responded with sanctions and military aid to Ukraine. What's really happening? A fight over territory, influence, and global power balance. At number 9, we have the Syrian civil war. This war started as a peaceful protest, then turned into chaos. Syrians protested against President Bashar al-Assad. Government responded with force, and the protest became war. Rebel groups, ISIS, and foreign powers joined. Russia and Iran backed the government. US and allies backed the opposition force. And the result, hundreds of thousands lost their lives, millions displaced, and the entire cities destroyed. At number 8 is the Iraq War, a war with a controversial claim. The US said Iran had weapons of mass destruction, MDS. The US and allies invaded and removed Saddam Hussein. No WMS were found. Power vacuum led to insurgency and sectarian violence. Groups like ISIS later emerged. What happened? The war didn't end instability. It created more chaos. At number 7 is the war in Afghanistan. This is the longest US war. US invaded to destroy Al-Qaeda and to remove Taliban. Talibans were removed, but not defeated. The war dragged on for 20 years. In 2021, US withdrew and Taliban took over again. The reality is that after 20 years of war, things returned to where they started. At number 6 is the Gulf War, a fast but powerful war. Iraq invaded Kuwait for oil and debt reasons. US led a global coalition. Massive airstrikes followed by ground assaults. Iraq was quickly defeated and pushed out. This shows the world's modern high-tech warfare dominance. At number 5 is the Vietnam War, a war that changed how people see power. Not Vietnam, communists versus South Vietnam, US-backed. US sent troops to stop the spread of communism. Guerrilla warfare made it hard for the US force. Massive bombings, heavy casualties. US eventually withdrew and North Vietnam won. At number 4 is the Korean War, a war that never really ended. North Korea invaded South Korea. US and UN supported the South. China supported the North. Heavy fighting pushed both sides back and forth. The whole stuff ended in a ceasefire, not peace. Today, North Korea is divided, but the tensions is still alive. At number 3 is the Cold War, a war without direct fighting, but global fear. The US versus the Soviet Union, capitalism versus communism. Nuclear arms race created fear of destruction, fought through proxy war, Korea, Vietnam, etc. Space race, espionage, political influence worldwide. The reality is that the world lived under constant fear of nuclear war. At number 2 is the Second World War, the deadliest war in human history. Started when Hitler invaded Poland, Axis powers versus Allied force. Holocaust killed 6 million Jews. Massive global battle across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Ended after US dropped atomic bombs. The impact is over 70 million deaths. Gave rise to nuclear weapons and creation of modern global order. At number 1 is the First World War. This is the war that started it all. Began after the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Alliance system pulled many countries into the war. French warfare caused massive suffering. New deadly weapons, such as machine guns, gas warfare, ended with Germany's defeat and harsh peace terms. Why it matters most? This war directly led to the Second World War. Different times, different leaders, but the pattern remains the same. Conflict starts, small powers get involved. The world pays the price. History is not just a past event. It's a warning of what comes next. Follow End Insights for more. Meanwhile, stay safe and see you on the next one.